Welcome to another edition of 42 Straight Years In, Volume 2, Part 34. On my crackhead update, I don't know if this lady was a crackhead or not, but she got the characteristics of a dope fiend. I was standing outside this morning drinking my tea and smoking a cigarette, and this lady walked by. She said, "Are you on the market for a good woman?" I said, "No, I'm not. I appreciate the offer." And she said, "I need somebody to help me pay my bills. I got all these bills. I need some help." I said, "Yeah, my light bill was $200 and Wi-Fi don't work." I said, "I need some help on that." She said, "You're a man. Aren't you supposed to pay your own bills?" So I told her, I said, "Well, you answered your own question. You's a woman. You pay your own bill. Your is a possessive pronoun. That means you own those bills, not me." And she said, "I couldn't have a man at my house and he don't pay my bills." I said, "Lady, I'm not at your house. You at mine right now. You standing on my property." So she rolled her eyes and kept on walking down Corinth, headed to Good Haven Apartments. Y'all know what it is. Get your shanks out. This is the weekend. Crackheads all got their checks. They're hiding right now. They hide somewhere, laying up in the bushes or up under the bridges. But they might make a move. We got to be ready for their ass. So let's ride. Lion Willie came by this morning. Remember my last video, I told you about this lady he met and he played this con on. Well, he was driving one of her cars. He told me she gave him the car. And Tuesday he going down and get the title changed. She already signed the title. He said while she was at his apartment, he had a little anal with her. He said, "Man, I pulled out of that woman," say she grunted. Say all type of mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese. Say she erupted like a volcano. Say she told me, "You done busted me. I told you I need to use the restroom." And he said he didn't worry about it. He said just clean up the mess and throw the sheets away and kept right on moving. He said the woman fell in love with him. I know he was driving one of her cars. He got driver's license. He just don't have a car. If everything turns out right for Lion Willie, he's going to be a rich man. So we went and talked to that attorney. He said Tuesday he headed to the district clerk's office to file that lawsuit for Lion Willie. So Dallas County have to compensate him for being wrongfully convicted. Now, all these years he could have been got money, but when you're not associating or around the right people, hell, you ain't gonna know about the system. Even though he been in the system, he was only in it for 39 months, and he don't keep up with the trends and corrections that they compensate you when you're wrongfully convicted. He didn't know nothing about it. So I'm anticipating a big windfall from Lion Willie, and to show you how good this guy is. He had that lawyer draw up a contract wherever he's awarded. The lawyer gets 25%, then I'll get 25%, because I'm the one who initiated it and told him and advised him on seeking redress in the courts for spending 39 months in prison and being worked like a slave and brutalized, and you haven't committed no crime. We're going to see how that turns out. This segment here is going to deal with the Ramsey unit, how guards set inmates up. A Texas prison major resigned amid an investigation into allegations he orchestrated the planting of 2 screwdrivers in an inmate's cell, apparently as part of a disciplinary quota system at the Ramsey unit. 4 other officers at the Ramsey unit were fired in connection with the investigation into the planted evidence, according to a TDCJ spokesman. This appears to be an isolated incident that started with that major. It's not isolated. That particular prison just got caught up. Hell, they do it all over the prison system. Texas Inmate Families Association said the departures offer prisoners' families confirmation of what they already suspected. The quota for writing inmate disciplinary reports came to light after the Houston Chronicle obtained copies of an email from Captain Reginald Gilbert ordering officers to write up prisoners or face disciplinary consequences themselves. Each sergeant will be required to turn in at least 2 cases written by officers for Level 2 Code 35 unauthorized storage of property, he wrote. That particular rule consists of inmates in each cell and dorm has a storage area. All your personal property, except shoes, radio, fan, typewriter, hot pot, multi-outlet, extension cord, all other property must fit in your assigned storage space, or that means you have excessive property. And during shakedown, at certain prisons, during the shakedown, they have a wooden crate measured the exact same size as the storage space. They place all your property in it. All that don't fit is considered contraband. Now, that's not actually enforced, but you just got to have your cell neat. You can't have stuff laying all around, because the officer can confiscate it during a cell search. He said, 2 disciplinary cases each day is my requirement. Remember, this is to be done every workday without exception. Any sergeant who missed their daily quota would face consequences ranging from documenting the oversight of an employee performance log to formal disciplinary action. Weeks later, prison officials abandoned the quota system. They just got caught up because of the Houston Chronicle investigation. The Texas prison system do not like bad publicity. A prisoner's mother fired off a letter to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Office of Inspector General, alleging that her son had been set up with a bogus disciplinary case by guards at the Ramsey unit. The Office of Inspector General started investigating and determined she was likely correct. Major Jackson, who already had been knocked down from major to lieutenant and sent to the hospital unit in Galveston, Texas, was walked off the Ramsey unit and resigned under investigation. On Friday, Lieutenant James Thomas, Sergeant Marcus Galejos, and Officer Wolf were all recommended for dismissal. And on Monday, Sergeant Darrell Winston was recommended for dismissal as well. Now, the Ramsey unit, which I speak of in a lot of my videos, is not the same prison that it was back in the past. Now, it is a maximum security prison, but it houses only G2 and G1 inmates. G2 means minimum security inmates. G1 is they live in a trustee camp they have supervision, but no guns and no fence. These guys are the tractor drivers, work in construction, work the cattle, work the dogs, work the horses. They don't have armed supervision. But if you're a G2, and anytime you exit the back gate of the prison, there will be armed supervision to escort you to work. Now, they just couldn't make rank. Every officer, majority of the officers in Texas Department of Criminal Justice, all of them want to be a ranking official. Eventually it'll come. If you got the right education and the right requirements, you'll move up in rank. Now, they do this at a lot of prisons. They enforce the property stores. They try to, doing a cell search, they'll write you up for a piece of screen. It depends on what prison you're located at. Also, I notice a lot of other prison channels, they use content or troll various guys' channels. And majority of the time, the message that they relay to their subscribers are not correct. They take everything out of context and tell a version that fit their narrative. Those people most likely are not going to go watch the video themselves and see what actually was said. You know, me, I got plenty of content. I don't know of another YouTuber I got to steal his content or even mention him in my video. To me, you're not important. I don't give a fuck about you. You're not important to me at all. What you did in the prison, not impressive to me at all. Shit don't impress me. Because I've did enough, like some Texas prison gang, me as one individual, hell, I put in more work than they whole damn gang have. So they not impressive to me at all. And some clown in another state, that is the state politics in that particular prison where you was incarcerated. Like what works in Texas wouldn't work in that state, and vice versa. When you're in Rome, you do what the Romans do in order to survive. You know, each guy will say, well, if I was here, I would do that. Well, that's yet to be seen. I've heard a lot of people say that same thing. They come here, they fold up like a suitcase. And it probably the same thing will happen to a Texas guy going into another institution. They got their own politics, their own rule, and they'll enforce. I had a subscriber, Rascal Flats 000. He wanted to discuss the food in Texas prison. Contrary to what people believe, or inmates themselves, a lot of them, they don't know how prison is ran, even though they're in the prison. It is not the kitchen captain who is starving you. Now Texas prison is modern. They have a dietitian located in Huntsville. That's the headquarters for the Texas prison system. He or she makes out the menu for all 106 Texas prisons. They try to arrange it where every prisoner on any given day, they all have the same meal. It don't necessarily work to perfection because some food might have spoiled and they had to throw it away. So they had to prepare other meals. Each prison is allotted X amount of food depending on how many inmates is at that prison. The legislature and the board department, the chairman of the board, they appropriate so much money to each institution. And it's a food budget included. Now, Texas at one time was self-supporting. It's not like that now. At one time, 50% of the inmates performed field labor, edible crops, and gathering edible crops and whatever. But now that's not the case. Some prisons just got all this land and they are not growing no crops because of inmate classification, inmate medical rules, and the federal courts put a lot of restriction on it where now the taxpayers is footing the bill for the Texas prison system. That's 106 units. They just gave the guards a 12% pay raise in order to retain guards because they got a high turnover rate. Now, it is the unit warden, all it takes is a phone call to the kitchen captain, or he personally visit the food service and tell them to prepare the food better, and it happens. Now, at certain prisons, well, at the majority of prisons, you got inmates who steal all the supplies. They steal all the food supplies. Sometimes a cell block have more seasoning than the food service department. So your homeboys are semi-starving you. They can't season the food when all of it been stolen. You know, I was at Pulaski unit, and the kitchen captain guys were complaining to the kitchen captain about the food. He said, well, you tell your homeboys to stop stealing you, all of it. They the one who's starving you. It's not none of me. He said, I puts out enough food for every inmate to eat well. He said, when they get through stealing it, it's none left. We got to go prepare food so all the guys can eat. Because at Texas prison, you eat 3 meals a day. Now, the state jail on weekends, they only eat 2 meals. But at a institutional division prison, they eat 3 meals. Sometimes it's not going to be a meal that tastes good. It depends on what prison you're at. At some prison, they got older guys who done graduated from the cooking school at East Ham. Those guys know how to cook well. Then you might be at a prison that house a lot of younger guys, and they not so versed in cooking. They don't really care because they ain't got to eat it. They cook them a special meal. The general population got to eat that crap they cook unless you have money where you can buy stuff from the commissary. Now, most of the meals consist of some type of casserole, pork roll. Man, it's horrible. If you would look at them make it up at the Bill Clements unit in the packing house, you would see them make pork roll. You would not eat it. I guarantee you that if you ever looked at it being made. But if you don't have money, your options are very slim on what you're going to eat. You know, those guys, they sell cheeseburgers and all type of good food that they prepare, but it's for sale. They don't give it to you free. Now, if you got a hook up in the chow hall, well, you'll eat good. That's why a lot of guys go to, when it's chow time, they take postal stamps with them. That's currency in a Texas prison. You know, a guy might say, hey, man, I got a burger tray for sale for 6 stamps, but everybody don't have money. Now, the food back in the day, it was good because we worked it hard and they fed us good. Yeah, once when I was at the Ramsey unit, we had finished our cotton and they wanted us to go to the Clemens unit. It houses very young guys between age, back then, 17 and 21. That was the age range at the Clemens unit. And they wanted us to go over there and work to help them get the rest of their cotton in before the rains come in. Anyway, they loaded us up on buses and they transferred all the dogs and horses over to the Clemens unit. It's only about a 30-minute ride from the Ramsey unit. They're all in Brazoria County. That's a huge county. And it houses 6 prison units. And we worked out in the field. When came chow time, we went in the chow hall, and I mentioned Wildcat, Warden Anderson. Well, by the field force, we was at another prison working. He went along with us to make sure everything ran smoothly. Anyway, when we went in the chow hall, those young guys was mesmerized by us. They ain't never seen all these old hard-time convicts. They got nice belts on and our clothes tied up with ropes and shit. You can look at these guys from Ramsey and tell these some hard-time boys here. And we went in the chow hall. The first thing Wildcat said to the Clemens unit, he said, hey, get them damn inmates out the way because these convicts be done trying to rape every one of them. He said, don't let them mix up with my guys from Ramsey. He said, these old hard convicts, them little young guys won't stand a chance with these guys here. I looked at them young guys' face. I was young. I looked at them, man. They were looking at us like we was from outer space. They were looking at the size. These guys are big as hell. Those guys are small. They still young and mature. And we got in the chow hall. The first problem was they didn't have enough food. They had it arranged where each inmate get 1 tray, where at the Ramsey unit, you eat much as you want. Cause we work hard, man. One thing about Wildcat, he was a hard warden, but he believed in you eating. No man at Ramsey go to sleep hungry at night. Man, you could eat in that chow hall, and you didn't need money to buy a commissary where you was gonna be full. All the food tasted good. So guys started going back up, getting extra food, and no guards at the turnkeys said, hey, you can't get no extra tray. So almost a riot erupted in their chow hall. So Cat came in and told the food service captain from the Clemens unit, and he said, you couldn't work for me. He said, I've been and kicked your ass all the way down the highway. He said, you ain't even prepared enough food for my guys. He said, well, at this prison, they only get one tray. He said, not at Ramsey. These guys get as much as they want. So the warden from the Clemens unit, he came in. So Cat, he's a real aggressive guy. He told him, he said, I'm going to call Huntsville, and I'm taking my guys back to Ramsey. He said, hell, if you can't feed us, that means we don't work here. We going back to Ramsey. He said, I'm calling Huntsville. And we got through eating that old slop. Man, that food was pitiful over there compared to what Ramsey eat. So they loaded us back up on the buses and drove us back to Ramsey. We never go back to Clemens unit to work. Things happen in a Texas prison on a daily basis. Me, myself, I witnessed so much of it, experienced so much of it, till like I've said in other videos, I can talk about Texas prison for the next 10 years and I wouldn't run out of content. So no other YouTuber, he don't have no information on his channel that I would need to use at all. And also, I never requested to be on any of these guys' channel. My subscribers, they did that, not me. But I appreciate a guy giving me a chance. Death over at Lockdown 23-1. I appreciate it. It helped my subscriber count increase, and I sure appreciate it. Okay, I'll be moving next week to my new residence. I just looked on their website, and the lady sent me an email from the manager's office. Their office will be open Tuesday. She told me to come by and sign the contract. So I'll be moving next Tuesday. Well, next week, I don't know exactly what date. And I'll have my Wi-Fi hooked up and start doing a Patreon where I can really speak what's on my mind, because I got to tell a watered down version, and that takes away from the narrative. I got to use the same language that they use. They did not talk nice to you like they do now. Hey, you guys, that's how they talk now. Fellas, come do this. That ain't how they talked to you in 1975. That is not how Texas prison was ran. Now, a prison warden, he's more or less, I would call him an administrator, because most Texas prison, they got a zero tolerance for violence. So like these guys do on the West Coast, have multiple stabbings in and out of the special housing unit, which we call ADSEG in Texas. You would not get that chance in Texas. You stab a guy one time, you are history. You'll be back in SEG talking to the guys in SEG about what you did in general population, but you'll never get to do that again. But it's ways you can do things in ADSEG. Shit was so bad till they had to put alarm on each cell door to keep those guys from breaking out of their cell. Now, if your door is rigged any kind of way, a red light goes on the outside of your door and in the control picket. They'll know something is wrong with that cell door. They finna come move you out of that cell and place you in another cell. Also, if you have an escape on your record, you are moved every 10 days to another cell. Every 10 days, like clockwork, they move you to another housing area and another cell. So in case you got anything set up, it'll never work. They move you around all the time. And the major escape artists, they're all housed at the Pulaski unit, the home of Texas Death Row in Livingston, Texas. And since that prison has been open, not one inmate has escaped. Around the death row part of the prison, it has an electric fence and a fence on top of the building. So either way it go, you will be electrocuted. And the major escape artists in Texas, that is where they're housed at. And they move those guys every 10 days to another cell. So if you done tried to break out of that cell or start rigging the door or whatever, it won't work. They'll move you somewhere else. Every 10 days, you will be moved. I got to head over my subscriber and get this video uploaded. And I thank y'all for watching. Like and subscribe. And have a good day.